ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਗੋਬਿੰਦੇ ਮੁਕੰਦੇ ਉਦਾਰੇ ਅਪਾਰੇ ਹਰੀਅੰ ਕਰੀਅੰ ਨਿਰਨਾਮੇ ਅਕਾਮੇ ਗੋਬਿੰਦੇ ਮੁਕੰਦੇ ਉਦਾਰੇ ਅਪਾਰੇ ਹਰੀਅੰ ਕਰੀਅੰ ਨਿਰਨਾਮੇ ਅਕਾਮੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So Maharaj, in next Salok, they are doing vichar of Sikh does benti to Guru that Maharaj, you have explained about Brahm in very deeply about the qualities of the Brahm. But Maharaj, there are so many different Granths, so many different Ved, and they call the Brahm with so many different names. The same one Brahm has been explained in so many different ways by so many people in various forms. How can this Brahm be known then? How can I reach the Gyan when I do not know what is the form of this Brahm? If I don't know what it looks like, what's its color, what's its form, how can we reach it? Guru Maharaj explains, the Brahm is the Apraman. Apraman is that whose description cannot be given. You can describe something through mind, through body or intellect, but Brahm is Apraman. It cannot be described through mind, body or intellect. The Brahm is Adhyatam, therefore it cannot be described. Only that thing can be described when there are two things present. But when there is only one thing present, it's just impossible to describe that. If someone asks you, what is the proof that you exist? Then you might say, I'm standing here, you can see me, I'm speaking to you. Isn't this the proof of my existence itself? But if that person says that give me another evidence of your existence, now how else would you explain? Because there is no other evidence of that. Now this is an example in duality between two people. But for Brahm, the one asking and the answering is the one only. Its evidence cannot be given exactly. The one Brahm, the one asking is Brahm, the one answering the question is Brahm, the one listening to it is the Brahm. The very nature of Brahm is consciousness. It's aware. It is the knower of all. In Gurbani, Maharaj says, Kat kat ke antar ki janat, phale bure ki peer pashanat. It knows. The mind, intellect, or any of the senses cannot describe the Brahm. Because all these senses are Jad Vastu, and these are being run by the consciousness. So the senses perform the actions due to the consciousness, but these tools that have been given in the body, they have limitations in them. But there is no limit in consciousness. It has no end. In order to have a limit of something, there needs to be an end of it. But because there is no end of Brahm, the limit cannot be known. Now, it's scientifically proven as well that the ears can only listen up to a certain level of frequency, and the eyes can only see up to a certain distance. The body feels tired as well, but the consciousness remains the same, even when the body is feeling tired. Even a blind person has the same consciousness as that of the person with sight. Thus, in this way, the senses are the Jad Vastu, and the Jad Vastu cannot describe the Atma. Maharaj says there is no one particular Shabad to which by listening the Gyan can happen. The Brahm can neither be tasted through the tongue. There is no such words by which one can get the Gyan of Brahm. Nor there is any proper one technique that the Brahm Gyan can happen. The Brahm Gyan doesn't happen by any of the techniques nor by words. So how can one get Brahm Gyan? If the Brahm wishes to recognize itself, then by its own kirpa it can happen. No matter how much jap tap, simran, paat, dan, doing ishnan in the sarovar, no matter how many of the things one does, Brahm has got nothing to do with this. If Brahm wishes to do kirpa on anyone, then even that person, when that person is just sitting at home, he can get the Brahm Gyan. Maharaj in Gurbani says, Na pije ragi nadi ved, na pije surti gyani jog. None of this can capture or understand or know the Brahm. It's not known through doing years, thousands of years of kirtan. In all the yuga, if one just sits in samadhi, it cannot be known through that. If Brahm does kirpa, only then it can know itself. If one is doing kirtan for thousands of years, even they won't be able to get the Brahm if the kirpa doesn't happen. But if the kirpa happens, even a person who stammers, who doesn't know how to talk properly, can get the Brahm Gyan. The Brahm is not an object of eyes, nor it can be smelled through the nose. Hands cannot touch it, and the feet cannot walk towards it. It's not a destination. So these are the attributes of Brahm. It cannot be known with mind, nor it can be obtained through logic. Its limit cannot be known because it is present everywhere. So as discussed, the world is formed from 5 elements that further turns into 25 elements. This is called as Parpanch. Maharaj, how can I know the Sat Vastu when all there I see is the Asat Vastu? And the Asat Vastu is Nashwan. Even if I consider these 5 elements to be false, that they're going to get destroyed, yet how can I know the Sat that remains forever, Maharaj? Maharaj says the Brahma Paramatma is the knower of its own Anand. Those who are Brahmagyani, only they know what Brahm is like. Or literally, it's only those who have become one with the Brahm can know. A foolish Murak like me cannot know. No matter how much katha we do, no matter how much we try to explain, but only the Brahmagyani knows. It cannot be explained through katha because it is a kathaki katha. How can you explain something that is beyond words, that doesn't have a description? But yet, since we are here, since we are given this opportunity, we might as well take some time to know this Brahm Vidya rather than just wasting the time doing those things that do not matter. We read and listen to the Granth that if Brahm does kirpa on itself, then it can know itself. But only the Brahm Gyani knows what Brahm fully is. Maharaj in Gurbani says, Kaho Nanak santan rasyai hai, jo chaak gunga muskare. The Brahm Gyani, those sant, they have become one with the Brahm. And only they know the anand of it. And how can they explain? It's like they just smile like a person who's gunga, who can't speak through the tongue, who can't utter anything. After tasting the mathiyai, the sweet, after having the anand of Brahm, he just smiles. There is nothing he can do, or there is no words, or he cannot just explain it because he's physically not able to do it. Same way, the Brahmagyanis are like that. There is no way, there is no word that can express the Brahm itself. It doesn't matter a Murak like me keeps talking about it, but those who know about it, they have become the root. They don't see any other form at all. And they know there is no words made that can describe that. Guru says that Brahma cannot be destroyed. The fire cannot burn it, nor the water can drown it. It is non-dual. There is no dvat in it. How can we really express the praises of this Brahma? But until and unless an Agyani does the Upama, the praises of the Brahma, he cannot know about the Brahma. So in order to get closer to the Brahma, the Agyani needs to do Upama of the praises of, sing the praises of the Brahma, do vichar of the qualities of the Brahma. That way he gets somewhat closer to the theoretical wisdom. And if the kirpa of Brahm happens on itself, then he gets the Anupa Prakash. Maharaj says to Sikh that I will explain a little bit more deeply about it here. So consider Brahm in the same way as of the space. Now the space element, Maharaj does comparison between it. And how do we know the space? We know that the space is present inside and outside of the body as well. It's the same space that's present in the world, outside the world as well. It's the same space that's present in the clay, in the houses, everywhere. Although the space has the same similar like attributes of that of the Brahm, but there is still a difference between them. And what is this difference? That the space is the Jada Vastu. It cannot do anything on its own. And the Brahm is the consciousness. Everything is under its control. So space is known to have Satalok and Satapatal in it. So these are 14 or 14 lok. And it is known that it is surrounded by a mountain which is called as Lokalok. This is described in Vishnu Purana as well. And all these are known to be present in the space element as well. So this same space element is present everywhere, in the clay, in the houses, in the body, outside the body, in the world, outside the world as well. But the clay part, because of the form, appears different to that of the house. So in the same way, the Jeev appears different to that of the Ishwar. The Brahm appears to be in so many different forms, but there is no difference in its Tattva Sarupa. So all the characteristics of the space apply upon that of the Brahm. But the consciousness is that of the Brahm and the space is the Jada Vastu. The space doesn't move on its own. Well, Sikh says to the Guru, Maharaj, you just explained that the attributes of the space are similar to that of the Brahm. But the Brahm is the Satvastu and space is the Jadavastu. So how do they both become one? Maharaj, as you have explained that everything appeared from the Brahm, you have explained how one Brahm took so many different forms by creating the 5 elements. How did the consciousness become separate to the Jadavastu? As they are formed from the one consciousness only, so how did they become separate? Guru says that due to the Shakti of Ishwar, the Maya Rupi Shakti, we see the separateness between them. But the Brahma is one Sarup only. The Agyani see the Brahma the consciousness, and the Jada Vastu to be separate. But since the Brahm is one only, do not see them separate. In here, Guruji explains how Jad and Brahm are becoming one. One should take the support of Gurmat, the Vivek Buddhi, to know the consciousness, which is the Nit Vastu. Nit Vastu is that remains forever, and it remains the same. There is no change in it. And the Anit Vastu, whose Sarup keeps on changing. And the Anit Vastu is born to time. But the consciousness is beyond time. It is Akal. So with Gurmat, the Agyanta gets removed. Just like how if someone brings a lamp to the room, and because of the light, due to the brightness of that lamp, the darkness is dispelled. Same way, from with the Gurmat, the Gyan, the Roshani, the light that comes from Gurmat, the Agyanta, that is the darkness. The Agyanta, the darkness of the Agyanta gets removed. And that's how one gets the wisdom of Nitvastu and Anitvastu. Now, this is an interesting point to notice. Maharaj explains very clearly here that if I had informed you before that Jad and Chetana are the same, then how would have you known about the Atma? About the Roop that is Sukham than Sukham Vastu as well. The form that is so subtle that it's even subtle than the subtle form. If I had informed you before that Sargun and Nirgun are the same in the very beginning of the Granth, how would have you known about the Nirgun? To know the Nirgun, it is important to do Khandan of Sargun. By knowing the Nirgun, the Sargun can be easily known. But if we believe that only Sargun is present, then one cannot know about the Nirgun form. That's why the first Sargun Sarup is created, and by doing Khandan of it, by destroying it, it is shown that there is no form. That's why Maharaj says, I have done the Khandan of Sargun, the Indriyam, body, etc., to understand the Nirgun. And if one gets the Gyan of the Nirgun, then the Sargun Gyan will be understood easily. If I had informed you that the Atma is in the body, and there is no difference between this body and Atma, that there is no difference between Brahm and Sansar, then you would not have known Atma. In home, you would have called your own body as yourself, your own Sarup. And those who see the Sansar, they would have called the Sansar as Brahm only. And they would not have known the Nirgun, the Brahm Roop. They would always be in doubt because they won't go beyond the Sargun form. Those who consider themselves as body, they would have never known the Shakti behind the body. And they would have just been stuck in the body. Without knowing the Brahm, the Atma, they would have continued being stuck in the Vikas. And due to which they would have kept performing the actions. And because of those actions, they would have been stuck in the cycle of birth and death. In Gurbani, Maharaj says, "Ehe vis sansar tum dekhde, ehe har ka roop hai, har roop nadri aaya." The sansar that you see is the Brahm itself. It is the Brahm that is being reflected, seen through the sansar. Maharaj says, I have explained them separately so that your attachment to this body and sansar can be removed. So when you will get the Gyan of Sarvastu, that you are Atma, you are Brahm, then you will know everything to be one. You will see the Sargun Nirgun as one, and the Panjavikar, they will not be formed in you, or you will conquer them. You will see yourself in everyone and everything. If you have known that you don't have an enemy, there is no stranger, then there will be no anger as well. The growth happens because there is one friend and another person is an enemy, or you like someone or you dislike someone. But if you know that there is no friend, no enemy, no stranger, then there will be no anger as well. When you will know that your Atam Sarup can neither die nor it is born, then you will become free from the cycle of birth and death. That's why it is extremely important to know your Atam Sarup. Sargun Nirgun Nirankar Sunna Samadhi Aap Apan Kiya Nanaka Ape Hi Fir Jaap. The Sargun Nirgun, the Nirankar, without form, it's one only. It's the same one in Sunna Samadhi. And it itself knows itself and talks about its own praises. The same wisdom is given in Veds as well, that there is only one. There are no two separate things present at all. There never have been a second thing in this sansar. Gur Gur Eko Vesa Anek. In all the yuga, it is the same Guru that took form as Gyan Roop. It has always been Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. There was no difference between him and other Guru, the Gyan Roop. The same Guru comes in different forms to give the Gyan. And in all the Yug, he himself is the Guru and he himself is the Sikh Roop as well. That's why in Gurbani as well, Maharaj says, Vahu Vahu Guru Gobind Singh Ape Guru Chela. He himself is the Guru, he himself is the Sikh as well, the Chela as well. Maharaj says to fully accomplish this Gyan of Advait, of Gurmat, in your Hirde, Maharaj says completely absorb this wisdom. That Nirgun Sargun is one, your Atam Sarup is Nitvastu, and there is no death there is no birth in it, and it is just one talking, one listening. Knowing your true Sarup, you will attain liberation. Maharaj says, consider this well, that the Brahma is the cause of this world. Do not bring this Agyanta in your mind, even by mistake, that the cause, the doer, and the action that is happening are two things. The doer and that which is happening are not two things, but only one. Sikh says to Maharaj that you have explained about the cause and the actions. You have also explained that there are two types of actions. One is upadan and one is the nimitta. Now, among these two, which cause or action is that of the Brahma? Guru says that both Karan are the same Brahma itself. First, I will explain about the Upadan Karan and then I will explain about Nimitta Karan. So we use the Guru explains through analogy here that we use the clay before a clay pot is formed as well. We're using that clay and we use the same clay to create that pot as well. This is one example. Another example, Maharaj says that a piece of cloth is formed from a thread. When you weave that thread, it turns into a cloth. But that cloth is still the form of the thread only. It hasn't, the form has changed, but it's still thread only. Another analogy. So many different shastras are created from metal. But it's the same metal that is used to create different shastras. And the shastras are eventually metals only. Another example is creating different utensils from the copper. The same copper is used to create different forms of utensils as well. There is no difference in the copper. Same way, when a wave is formed in the ocean, it is still part of the ocean. Now, the wave is formed because of the ocean. The ocean is the cause, and the action, which is seen, which is the wave. So, just like how waves are not separate to the ocean, similarly, the cause and the action are not separate. Because the action is happening because of the cause only, and the cause itself is creating the action. Another analogy, Maharaj explains that how when different jewelries, different items are, when the gold is converted into different jewelry forms, like that women wear, like as earrings or bangles, they are from the same gold as well. It's just changed in the form. It doesn't matter if they wear them as earring or bangles, it is still gold. In the same way, one Ek Brahma, after taking so many forms, is sitting in everyone. It's the same one speaking, it's the same one listening, it's the same one answering. It's the same one known in as housing, it's same one known as Meher Singh, same one Satveer Singh, same one talking through Harvinder, same it's itself doing katha, it itself is listening about its own explanation. The one doing, if someone listens to this recording and does nindya of it or points out the things, it's the same Brahma only doing nindya. And if someone says that it's really good explained and all that, does ustad of it, it's the same one doing it. And whose ustad is happening? It's of Brahma as well. It itself is doing its own nindya and its own ustad. There is nothing other than Brahma. That's why Maharaj says, Sargun Nirgun Nirankar, Sunna Samadhi Aap, Apan Kiya Nanka, Ape Hi Fir Jaap. The Sargun is itself, the Brahm. Nirgun is that, Nirankar is itself as well. The Sunna Samad, when there is complete silence, there is no sansar, no world, nothing. And then after creating its own self, it does praises of itself. But as long as we do not know our own Sarup, then the Brahma cannot be known. That's why Sangatji, it's important to go beyond the Sargun first to understand the Nirgun Rupa of Atma, of your true self. That way the Sargun will be eventually known. But as long as there is a paid in both, if we attach to one form, the Sargun, and discard the Nirgun and say Paramatma is just this Vastu, not that Vastu, then the Puran Brahm Gyan doesn't happen. So Maharaj Kirpa, we will end the class here today. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.